I'm going to give you a general briefing of what a Shujaa really is. And Professor P.L. Lumumba is here with me in studio. Thank you so much for making time, sir. Good morning. You've been running an interesting series on Mashujaa, Reflections of Kenya's Folk and Cultural Heroes. We'll talk about that in just a bit. Ms. Caroline Duba is also here, Head of Marketing at the National Museums of Kenya. Thank you so much for making time. Ms. Martha Galavu, also co-founder Shujaa Stories, is also here with us. Thank you for making time. And Honorable Njeru Gadangu, former Member of Parliament for Runyenjes, asante sana for making time. I see Gatundu South Moses Kuria MP has actually sent his greetings to you. Says you're an ultimate Shujaa for him.
Salimiwa pia.
Asante sana. Prof, how significant is this day and who really is a Shujaa?
You know, this is very significant. Remember that heroes and heroines defined the life of a nation. As a nation, we have made the mistake of thinking that Kenya is the country that came into existence 58 years ago in 1963. But we must remember that the land that is presently called Kenya is one that has existed since creation. And we have had men and women in different Kenyan communities who have made great contributions. And this entire enterprise and exercise is designed to identify and give pride of place to such men and women. Right. It is important that we also recognize that heroes are not just practicing politicians, which is the mistake that we have made over the years. You'll find creators, poets as heroes, conservators as heroes, mythical healers as heroes, architects as heroes, educators as heroes, and that is what we want to immortalize.
Yeah. All right, that's very interesting. And that's, Martha, you are pretty young. So for you, who is a hero?
A hero, okay, generally a hero is someone significant in a community. But for me personally, it's someone who is fighting. It could be a disease, someone who's going through a difficult time. Yeah, just being in that situation and being able to overcome that challenge makes you a hero.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Honorable Gadangu, how significant is this day for you?
Well, hii ni siku ambayo naiheshimu sana mimi. Kwanza sababu kuiita Mashujaa Day ni kukubali kwamba nchi ya Kenya iko na watu ambao ni wazalendo na watu ambao wanahusika zaidi kupigania mambo ambayo inajumuisha umaarufu na uzuri wa nchi yao. Dola la Kenya lategemea wazalendo, na wazalendo hao ndio wanajikuta saa ingine mashakani kwa mambo mbalimbali. Sababu kama ni mambo ya maradhi, wakuta kwamba mtu ameingia katika laboratory kutafuta jambo fulani linalohusiana na matibabu, na wakati huo labda ana rasilimali yake, ni lazima aende akatafute. Saa ingine serikali na watu ambao wanahusika ama wa karibu kama majirani hawaoni kama ni jambo kubwa, lakini mwisho kabisa inakuja kugundulikana kwamba kuna jambo kubwa ambaye amefanyia nchi yake. Huyo ndio tunasherehekea leo.
Lakini kwa vijana sana sana siku kama leo sana sana hao wanapenda mtu ambaye ako na pesa sana sana. Huyo ndio sasa wanasema huyo ndio shujaa wao. Shida iko wapi? Asua ni familia ndio tumejitenga kidogo, hatujawafundisha ama ni vipi?
Kuna mambo ambayo yametendeka katika nchi hii ambayo ni lazima pia yakemewe sana. Jambo la kwanza ni kutukuza mali kuliko watu, ni kutukuza mali kuliko busara, kutukuza mali kuliko akili na matendo ya kizalendo. Okay. Ikiwa wewe umetafuta fedha, na mara nyingi wale ambao wako na fedha ni wezi tu ovyo ovyo katika nchi yetu. Ikiwa vijana watawafuata wale wezi, basi ni kusema kwamba uzalendo utakuwa umemwagwa. Nakumbuka kitu kama miaka 2017 kwamba mtu amelala akinywa pombe. Asubuhi ako na njaa kubwa, ananunua githeri, anaenda kupiga kura, na nchi hii inamchukua kama ndiyo hero. Yeye alikuwa kwa mfinyo, asubuhi anakuwa njaa kubwa, alafu ananunua gazeti pale ndio aweze kwenda kujisaidia na aweze kupiga kura. Alafu sisi tunamwangalia, tunamwangazia kama huyo ndio shujaa. Mpaka vijana wengine wakaanza kununua gazeti ndio hata pia waonekane kwamba wao pia mashujaa.
Wakula gazeti hadharani.
Mambo namna hiyo ni lazima yakemewe sana. Na pamoja na hayo, wazazi na viongozi ni lazima wawaambie watoto wao fedha sio kwanza. Akili ina maana, matendo yana maana, na kazi. Ni lazima tuwe na hard work and think about ideas and how they can be implemented. It's not about following leaders to be better, because we are actually a beggar nation almost now. Yes.
Lakini katika hii enzi ya social media, kuna wale ambao wanatutumbuiza, people say that these are people who made us laugh at a time when there's a lot of tension. Don't they deserve to be recognized?
Actually, laughter, and you will know that entertainment is important for a human person. If we are going to exist and as a happy nation, in the end we must be entertained. And if there is a group of people that have decided that they are going to give us entertainment, why not? After the handwork, sit down somewhere, rest and get entertained. I mean, it is also an industry in the world that we recognize. And we must be able to appreciate them, and where possible, gift them with our own resources so that they can grow their talent.
Ms. Caroline, you've been quiet for a while. And from the National Museum's perspective, how do you decide who goes in the history books and who deserves to be immortalized, so to speak? Because each and every community has their own person who they glorify as this is our hero. But not everyone can fit there. So how do you decide?
The communities themselves decide. So if we're looking historically, you'll find that they have the stories of those who they revered, those who had the values that they put up on a pedestal. So you'll have the champion fighters, the warriors. There are those who led them to war, the diviners who foresaw certain events and helped them strategize. There are those who helped them build strategies for going into battle. Those who warned them about the oncoming of certain communities that would be dangerous to them. Be careful about the oncoming of this type of a person who will be a danger to our community. And therefore they prepare. Those ones who fought to keep their land, fought to make sure that their people maintained their agricultural space. Those are the ones who the communities then present as their heroes. So it's not so much who we decide, it's who the communities decide. And in today, thankfully we now have an act that helps us decide who our heroes are, the Kenya Heroes Act, and the National Heroes Council, who helps us maintain that. But it's really fortunate that we have a day like Mashujaa Day, where we can celebrate everyday people who are exemplifying good values. Because just like you rightly said, in this day and age of digital media platforms, there are people gaining notoriety, not for values that we should uphold. And so when we have a day like Mashujaa Day to celebrate people of good value, good conduct, then we hopefully start to promote these good values that we all should embrace.
Prof, in your lecture, who are the most significant people you've picked who you think are worth mentioning for different communities and what they've achieved?
I think, as she has rightly said, the society defines who their heroes are, and circumstances create heroes across communities. And in Kenya, if you look across, you'll find in the area of conservation, for example, names that you'd never heard of. Gasara Win, of the Awir community in the Boni Forest. When we now talk about conservation, you don't mention such individuals. You mention those who have been sponsored by some organization. But if you look at the history of a person like Gasara, it is now historically recorded that this was a gentleman who had close association with the forest, with the birds, with the trees. And he was the one who became the custodian of conservation. And if we have history that is properly written, Gasara Win will have a pride of place. And an occasion such as this makes it possible for the president and those who are involved in recognizing heroes to recognize an individual such as that posthumously.
Yeah.
But there should also be posthumous recognition of heroes. If you go outside of that, you go to Shiokaraine amongst the Meru. If you ask a young Meru today whether they know Shiokaraine, who lived in the last century and only died, I think, in the 1950s, she was one of the few women amongst the Meru people who questioned the Njuri Nsheke.
Yeah.
And he will know that. He questioned the Njuri Nsheke and said, we know that men and women have their pride of place, but women must also be heard. And for that reason only, the Njuri Nsheke did actually ensure that she was appointed as an assistant chief.
Yeah.
Such an individual should be recognized posthumously. And lastly, before the others come in, we hear about the Amazon women in the Greek mythology.
Yeah.
We hear about Amazon women in Dahomey, in what is present-day Benin. But we forget that amongst the Gabra, in Kenya, in northern Kenya, we had the Mano women who are architects, who are capable of constructing portable houses, and who are capable of therefore ensuring that their pastoralist life was kept alive. These people should be immortalized, and I want to see that when we are writing history books, they have pride of place. Because, as I said a little earlier, the history of a nation is defined by her capacity to recognize her heroes and heroines, and the future of a nation is defined by how far back that nation looks to the past, because the past defines the present defines the future.
But how do we explain such significant people to the younger generation whose time is mostly spent on social media? They may not go back into history, and like she was saying, that their heroes are defined sometimes by notoriety.
You know, Trevor, there is this misconception that the majority of Kenyan young men spend their time on social media. Untrue. It is also true that in urban areas where they have bundles, that is what is happening. This country is largely rural. This country has a situation where young men and women in rural Kenya still interact with history in the classroom. And therefore, it is the duty of educators to ensure that it is in the classroom that they interact. But if I recognize the role of social media, and this is what is happening with this program, that what we are saying now is going to find a place in the social media platforms. And if we educate our young men and women properly, the social media platform is a powerful tool. And why should they do this? Our young men and women are going to interact with Chinese, with Europeans, with Koreans. And if you go to those nations, history and heroes are given great prominence. If you visit those countries, as many of us have, you'll find that museums have sections, as we said, of great poets. We talk about Shakespeare today, but we talk about Fumo wa Liyongo amongst the Pokomo, for example. We should do that, and we can have them being recognized, because recognition gives people some kind of prominence which is good for the nation. So, the social media platform can be used positively. The fact that we are not using it positively and effectively is not something that should discourage us. In the new education system, what position are we giving to heroes and heroines? And this is critical. I was reading just when I'm talking about heroes and the struggle for independence, which is what we are talking about today. Mora Wangiti amongst the Abagusi people. This was a powerful woman who could foresee the future, who was tortured by the British, who told the British, we are not going to surrender. Do we recognize her when we talk about women heroes? Today, when the president will be delivering his speech, I would expect my president to take me down memory lane without script, to talk to me about the heroes amongst the different nations of this country and about the great men and women in the nations of this country. Will the president do that? No, he will not. Because the scripted speech will only recognize Kenya as if it started existing in 1963.
And Martha, you know, it's interesting when you talk about people in social media. You are a co-founder for the Shujaa Stories. What inspired you to do this, and how far back can you look?
Okay, firstly, I am not a co-founder, I'm a co-director.
Okay.
Because it was founded by my late brother, Masiza Galavu. And it was after the realization that these stories are not there in our history books. And the bit that is there is briefly explained. Like, for example, Mekatilili was a prophet of the Agiriama, but they won't give her life story, her struggle. So it's very little information, and also there are very few. I don't even think Gor Mahia is in our books in history. Yeah, maybe very shallow. And exactly. Most people don't know Gor Mahia was a person, and also Syokimau. Nowadays, when you mention that to someone, they usually like, Syokimau is a person.
It's a place. Maguta. We buy plots.
On your way towards the river.
So it was after that realization that Masiza now formed that together with his colleague called Jeff. And we started with an exhibition at the National Museums of Kenya. And also we worked closely with their research team as well as the people who design exhibitions to come up with the stories and verify our stories, actually, because we had a researcher amongst us, our Shujaa Stories team, but his stories had to be verified by the museum in order to be put there. And we started with 28, but we didn't cover all the communities. There were just 28 Shujaas. And then after is when Google Arts and Culture came in, and again, together with the National Museums of Kenya, to do the 66 Shujaas we have currently.
I'll come back to you and find out of the 28 which one stood out for you and why. But for now, Mheshimiwa, what do you expect the president to talk about on this Mashujaa Day?
Today?
Yes.
First of all, like Professor Patrice Lumumba is saying, is that he is going to rely on the script, which may not have contributed a lot in creating. And it is going to be given to him to read. And what is it that he will be saying today? He is going to be looking at what generally they call our forefathers. Now, when we talk about our forefathers, what are we talking about? We are talking about his father, Raila's father, and nobody else. You know, because this state has actually been predicated on two families, basically. So when we are talking about our forefathers, I guess even sometimes we don't even talk about those veterans who fought in the Second World War, came and adopted the cow, came to the Mau Mau, and created that big movement. You know, according to me, when they talk about forefathers, they are talking about themselves. That's number one. Number two is that when you look at what is happening in this country today, apparently 2022 appears to be central to whatever thinking, ideas that they may want to be creating here. That there is nothing else that you are going to be talking about other than that which can relate to 2022. You know, and you see what has happened is that Raila was covering Mountain Kenya region in the last few days. And Uhuru is culminating that by having the celebrations in Kirinyaga. And therefore what you will be saying to the Mount Kenya region is that munaona tuko hapa zote. You know, first of all, that those people that are not with us are against Mountain Kenya region, meaning that majority of Kenyans now are focusing on Mountain Kenya region as if it's actually the country. It's just part of it, you know. And they are minority also when it comes to this nation, that the Embu, Meru, Kirinyaga, and what have you, and the central province are actually a fraction of this nation. We cannot focus as a state on Mountain Kenya. Right? And therefore, that is what he's going to be talking about. He would have forgotten completely that his elevation is out of the struggles of the people we are mentioning here. And it's actually good for me to say this. A small little group of young people called Release Political Prisoners, are the ones that fought so much, mobilized the world, including the Amnesty International, religious leaders, and other international communities, to make sure that those in prison, including Raila Odinga, are released.
Yeah.
But where are they today? They are scavenging like everybody else, right? And when you look at the released political prisoners, they made big names like that of Wangari Maathai at the Freedom Corner. They made big names like Jerry Kabeberi, who is working for international organizations all over. They made us. They made Minor Kiais and Willy Mutungas. They made people. But we have forgotten those little fellows. My prayer is this, and this is in line with what Professor is saying here, that it is important as we look at our history and at our state to identify those individuals that have done things. Not about education and politics and what have you. Little fellows walking like ants on the streets of Nairobi, identifying what is the vice and evil that can be rectified, and they do it. Those are our people.
Okay.
And those are the people making the state. So,
all right. Ms. Caroline, what is the plan for bringing these stories to the people rather than waiting for them to come and look for them at the museums? Because this is a time when the human attention span is increasingly getting lower. Back in the day, we would come, the schools would come there and we'd be taking tours around. And now even COVID-19 doesn't allow you to do that. So what is the plan to change this narrative so that you go to them, take history to them rather than wait for them to look for it?
Fantastic. So as a research institution, our first port of call for displaying our body of knowledge has been the galleries and exhibitions that you all know as the museum. But with the advent of digital space, we fortunately partnered with Google Arts and Culture, and they came in to offer us a platform online that we can then display further our body of knowledge. And we have now worked with animators like Shujaa Stories to bring your story, your cultural, your heritage story online. When we launched the Google Arts and Culture Utamaduni Wetu page, that was in 2019, there was some uptake of the platform. But last year when the Shujaa Stories were launched in October, there was a spike. And I'm talking about a 6 month of over 600,000 hits. So it's just showing that it's not just, while our duty is to our people, the citizens of Kenya, globally, they're swallowing this information now, which is fantastic. So it's not just about proximity, you being near the museum on the hill, it's now at a click of a button. And so with this Google Arts and Culture page, we have opened ourselves up, not just to Kenyans, but to the whole world, to tell them our people did fantastic things. And not just yesterday, but for thousands of years. We have been doing amazing things. We've had researchers who have been botanists. We've had people who are strategic warriors. We have had, like Professor mentioned, the women of Gabra. All those are now on a platform globally, and we can celebrate our heroes, not just Batman and Superman.
And Trevor, just to add on what she's saying, look at the Bomas of Kenya, which was meant to be the nerve center of our tradition and culture. What if we were to decide to give prominence to these heroes, to say, we are creating a forest of heroes, and we'll plant trees and name these trees after some of these heroes as we honor our community, so that if, for example, we are talking about the Samburu of Kenya, do they have a hero that is worth recognizing? In the research, you'll be told, for example, we have a man called Mpuminyati Lesepen. This is somebody who was a Borana, came into the Samburu community, was assimilated, adopted, was a seer, and was capable of predicting the coming of the white man and the colonization of Kenya. If you ask your typical Kenyan person, out of 10, possibly only one have heard of Mpunyati Lesepen. Even amongst the political class, such a person, suppose at the Bomas of Kenya, we were to say, this is a tree that recognizes him, or a street name We name, because in proper societies, you immortalize people by giving them prominence in some street. I'm happy, for example, that Dr. Rosando Ribeiro, many people did not know Ribeiro was one of the first practicing medical doctors in this country. And the school is now named after him, Parkland School, which was renamed, I think, in the year 2015 after Dr. Rosando Ribeiro. That is a Goan. If you now want to say, did the Goans contribute to the betterment of the country called Kenya? Is it only after independence? These things were happening long before we regained our independence, and these contributions were major in ensuring that we regained independence. The struggle for independence is not the activities, as Njeru has said, the activities of the 1940s and 50s. We go down to the 1922. People like Harry Thuku are seldom mentioned on a day such as this. We don't. Muindi Mbingu, we seldom mention such people. But I'm saying that it is important that we recognize and even go further. She has rightly said, she was talking about Gor Mahia. Why is Gor Mahia important to the Luo community? Gor Mahia is important to the Luo community because he had mythical powers. In fact, the name Mahia means somebody that cannot be understood, somebody that has mythical powers. It is said of him that he could turn into a cow, turn into many things. Whether that is true or not, it is a demonstration that there lived amongst the Luo of Kenya an individual whose contribution was monumental. Beyond the football club, what else is called Gor Mahia? But we have individuals, as we know, who contributed zero to this country. And today or some other day you hear head of state commendation, CBS, GH. So that these honors that we give on a day such as this have also lost meaning. Because you hear somebody in a list that is given by the Heroes Committee and you ask yourself, but this individual, I've never heard of him. What has he ever done? Because if you are curious, and I am curious, you are curious, you should know. When in a list of 10 you don't recognize any, then there is a problem. So that my understanding is that that is what this entire enterprise is going to do. And I believe that we are not just talking to the Kenyan audience. We are talking to an international audience. Remember that foreigners have always wanted to behave as if the history of Kenya and Africans started when the colonialists came here. No, we had a long history. We have the longest history of all civilization. The first person, human person, according to, and you see this featured in the museum, was found here in this region. So this is the mother continent. And our heroes and heroines, Luanda Magere. Why is Luanda Magere great? Why do the Luos, for example, call the Nandi Lango, and they call other non-Luo speakers Jomwa? Why? Do we know why? Luanda Magere was a mythical Luo leader. He existed. He's a historical person. But his exploits in war are exploits that can't be narrated. But instead, we are teaching our young men and women about Rambo. We had better be teaching about Luanda Magere. So I think what the museum is saying, what Galabu's enterprise is saying, is time has come that our young men and women, your child, her child, his grandchild, we are now in the stage where we now have our grandchildren are now going to read about our heroes, not Batman, not all these things, our real heroes in whose veins blood flowed in this country. And that is the significance of this.
Okay, I have to take a quick break here on